We are live.
Hey, party!
Hey!
Will I cut that out or keep that in?
In real life.
Right, I'll just kick it off. So, hello and welcome to another Scratchcast interview. This time, we're honoured to be joined by Jak and Welshy from the genre-bending punk band WACO.
Yes.
So, thanks for joining us, guys.
Having us.
Good to see you both.
Lovely to meet you guys.
Yeah, lovely to meet you guys. I've been looking forward to this, and I love your website. I love the blogs. I love the other Scratchcast podcast you've done. So happy to be here. And
We loved your review as well on our album. You got it. A lot of people don't kind of get us as a band, and you guys got it. So that's good.
Yeah, if you say nice things about our music, then you've got a special place in their heart.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for the kind words there. So normally what we do is we just start off by getting guests to do a little bit of an introduction about themselves. So if you maybe just tell us a little bit about yourselves and about WACO, really.
Okay, Craig, I'll give it a go. I'm Jak, I'm the singer, and we started this band about 7 years ago in London, and we were kind of a mismatch of kind of punk kids, and some of us are into classic rock and 70s stuff and 60s stuff, and then I'm from Yorkshire, and I met the guitarist in university. We found our original bassist, Chris. We actually found him on the wall of a record label, bassist seeks band. This actually happens, and people actually meet through that. It was a bit like a cheesy movie.
Right.
And then Craig joined us from the island of Jersey, and then we've just been.
Well, you met Tom at uni.
Yeah, that's right. I met Tom at uni, and then he brought you over. But then since then, we've just been trying to do our own thing and making punk rock music with some psychedelic influences, with some indie rock influences, some classic rock influences. And then I really feel that we've been so lucky, and we've had such a amazing journey so far, but I really feel like we're finding our sound. It's a bit of a cliche thing to say, but finding our sound, finding our feet in the band with our most recent album, Hope Rituals, which came out last year. And, we've been through some hardships, and we've had a lot of hard work, as all bands do. We lost our original bassist, Chris, our best friend. He sadly passed away in the end of 2018. And since then, we've been rebuilding ourselves and rebuilding the band kind of in his honor. So that's a bit of a background of what's been going on. But I mean, I'm not going to lie, I love this band. I love playing in the band. It's the most fun ever. And I've met some amazing people through it. It's just every day is a blessing. Yeah.
Brilliant, man. So just to ask you a little bit about Hope Rituals, obviously, as you guys said, we were quite positive about the album. We also featured Good Days on our Movember Positive Day playlist. How's the album been received on a whole, and what's it been like trying to promote the album without the ability to tour it?
Oh, pretty tough, really. Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, speaking to people in the industry, we know they've never seen such I don't know. We know people who have kind of got albums in the top 10 this last year, literally, and then poof, right down. We were chatting to our agent, and he says there's never been a time where something has been so, they'd say 5 minutes of fame, or maybe 30 seconds of fame at the minute. Something that is really exciting for the smallest amount of time, and then the next thing's there, because people online, and there's not really time to build momentum and stuff like that. People have got short attention spans. Oh, the next day everyone's flicking through, yada yada yada.
Yeah, so with the album, we decided to release it during the lockdown in August. It sounds like quite a cavalier decision, but we'd finished it, and the writing of it had kind of helped us process the loss of our friend, and it just, I don't know, like, it was just like, if there's never been a time like this pandemic, you know, in recent memory. So we thought, fuck it, like, why don't we release our album mid-pandemic and see everyone's in lockdown. I personally am listening to more music than ever. So I thought there might be other people like me, you know, listening to music all day. So we released it, and people have seemed to really like it. We've sold vinyls, which we didn't think was, you know, a band of our level. We really rely on touring and just support gigs and just getting out there in front of people. You play the gig, they buy a t-shirt, or they buy the vinyl, or they buy a CD. It really, it was scary to be like, okay, no tours for the foreseeable future, no album launch gig, no album, you know, gigs around the album, but why not? So we did it, and I've been pleasantly surprised, blown away really with the reception. Like, people seem to really like it, and people have been buying the record. Again, it's not why we do it, but that just shows you that we're reaching people. So it's been positive. We had a bit of BBC radio play, and it wasn't an easy decision, but I mean, imagine if we were waiting until the lockdown, like the pandemic was over, we'd still be sitting on this album.
You could wait forever. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. So it felt, you know, and
I think we finished it December 2019.
Yeah.
I think we went in and did a few extra vocal bits in March, literally like 2 weeks before lockdown.
Right.
Yeah.
We had the final mixes back early April, and then we'd spoke to people kind of in the industry, what he said before, and they said everyone's putting everything back, and Jack was like, fuck it, let's bring ours forward. Because we were looking at maybe releasing it at the end of 2020, obviously before this happened. And as soon as lockdown happened, it's like we weren't doing anything. It's like, let's bring it as, you know, far forward as we can. And we spoke to Venn Records, who are up for it, and they said, well, ideally the earliest with a few singles is August. It's like, let's do it August.
Yeah, so it's a bit of I guess it's a bit of a summer album for some people, or end of summer going into autumn album if you listen to it when it came out, which maybe suits the music. I don't know. You know, when I listen to albums, when I really get into it, it does often remind me of a time and a place. Oh, yes, so, absolutely. So maybe this is people's pandemic, you know, one of their pandemic listens, which is weird, because in the future, it's like, oh, God, you know, reminiscing. Oh, remember when we were trapped in our houses for months? Oh, God, this album reminds me of that.
But also without blowing our own trumpet, our first single and video, we did with all our fans sending videos and footage in, which has been done a million times, but I think we were probably one of the first to get it out there. And we had so many emails just saying, oh man, I was having a really bad week, and like I filmed, you know, a clip for your video, and it really made my week better.
Yeah.
Is, you know, just little things like that is, you know, and it feels good to know that we, you know, might have made that person's week a little bit brighter.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I agree. We obviously took the idea from Feeder just today, that amazing video where everyone sends the clips in. But yeah, we did get that feedback, and it's kind of like, you know, we're all bored out of our mind in our houses anyway. Let's make a video together. So yeah,
people like saying, "Oh, you know, I'm stuck in Ukraine with my family, and I just went bonkers in my room for a morning." You know, and then I see the video out there, and it's, you know, a godsend. So
I think it helps that Good Days is just an absolute banger as well. Like, it's just a really fun, like, track. So I imagine, you know, just letting loose for a few minutes for a clip in that video would be a lot of fun to do. So it probably resonated with people for that reason as well.
Thanks very much, man.
So I suppose keeping with Good Days, we've kind of previously described it as a song that kind of acknowledges the pain and stress of life whilst remaining positive and future focused. Listening to the lyrics, indeed, I would say the lyrics like on the album as a whole, such as on the likes of kind of Dark Before the Dawn, they all have a strong positive mental health message. Where does this come from? Is this something that's informed by your own spirituality and general outlook on life, or does it come from elsewhere?
Well, it's kind of it's like our own personal outlook, I guess, kind of, but coming out through the music. But it is a conscious effort, and it's hard work. Being happy is hard work, right? You have to work at it sometimes.
Yeah.
Or achieving moments of happiness or optimism or hope. It doesn't come naturally to most people, So that's something I acknowledged, and I thought, like, just as pessimism or negativity can be really contagious. Like, I've worked in workplaces where that is exactly the case. You think, somewhat, if there's a bad mood or there's someone who's really negative or an oppressive force or whatever that is, it can really, really catch on quickly, like wildfire, and everyone feels like shit, But I think the same can be said for optimism and positivity. And I do realize that it can sound quite vacuous and shallow to be optimistic all the time, which I'm not optimistic all the time. I try to be quite realistic often, but I think there's a bit of a misconception that pessimism is somehow deep, like a deep, poetic, deeper emotion, and that optimism is somehow shallow. But I don't think that at all. I think they're exactly the same. I actually think optimism is a bigger, greater hope, and optimism is a greater, more powerful emotions or outlooks, because they can actually change things. As I said in the song Dark Before the Dawn, they actually do. Like, I might sound like a dreamer, but it does actually change things. If you can't imagine a better tomorrow for yourself, even, or for your community or for your country or whatever it is, if you can't imagine a better tomorrow, then you won't do anything. You'd never do anything, would you? So the civil rights movement in America, for example, wasn't a pessimistic movement at all. So this is one example of it. Like, people involved in that movement were like, we need a better tomorrow, we deserve a better tomorrow, and we can work towards that. That is proactive optimism, I would say. And it's extremely deep. And I do understand. We all go through every emotion, sometimes in one day. If you're as emotional as I am sometimes, you go for every emotion. But I do think when it comes to me writing lyrics, and us sharing the lyric writing process, I just think, like, that small things can pick me up throughout the day. And that could be a little quote on a TV show, or something I read in a book, or a little song lyric. And yeah, of course, it doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't always work for me, but I do think if I could pass on a little bit of the hope and optimism that I have, and the joy in the everyday life, the joy in life that I have, which I seem to have, I seem comfortable in that. If I can pass on a little bit of that to other people while listening or watching us live, and I think that's extremely important to me. It's like a sharing the outlook that I have.
It's a lot about your mindset as well. Like, people say to me, "How the hell does Jack stay that positive all the time?" I say,
I don't.
Your guess is as good as mine. But I mean, Freddie Mercury always said, you can't convince yourself that you're the best, and how are you going to convince anyone else?
So maybe that works for
you've got to believe and hope, and yeah, I mean, Idlewild is a good Idlewild album. Hope is important, and I think especially in times like now,
Yeah,
more important than ever.
yeah, I agree. I am all the longer this, you know, the more I think about it, I often come to like it being quite it could be quite offensive and quite what's the word, reductive, I think is the word I'm looking for, to be like, hey, everything's going to be okay, man, just hey, lighten up, bye, you know, tomorrow's going to be better than today. I understand that that's not helpful to everybody, but I do think there is a healthy amount of hope and optimism you can have, which I think we all do in some ways. You know, why do we go on? We all do in some ways have an ounce of this, so you can actually mine it and kind of work it into your worldview quite. You know, if you work it, you can do it quite effectively, really. You know, we all do. Otherwise, we won't wake up in the morning. We all have something in us that makes us want to persist, go on, move forward. So, you know, some have it more than others. So I guess I have it a notable amount, and I'm trying to pass it on to other people. That was a long answer.
It's a good answer. It's a very good answer. Certainly, the album has been getting me through my runs in the morning. It's a great album.
Oh, nice.
Which
That's
is
good, man.
Health in turn, obviously.
I find it a nightmare trying to find the perfect album to run to.
Really?
What are you guys' favourites? I'm always like, oh, this is a bit too somber. This is a bit too vast. I don't know.
I like heavy stuff.
My solution is not to run.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like heavy stuff if I'm doing any kind of exercise. Not always, but especially if I'm out early and, you know, you're like, I don't want to be running now. I want to be in bed right now. So I'll listen to something heavy. I've been listening to Vile Creature recently. They're quite good. Heavy band. Anything metal, really. And then also really fast hardcore, because then, I mean, that's making me run.
That makes sense.
What do you listen to, Craig?
I was listening to Bad Religion on my cycle to work and back today.
Very nice.
Good band.
I was going to
Great
say,
band.
I often listen to a bit of NoFX, actually.
Oh, yes.
Love NoFX. What's your favourite album? Sorry, I'm a bit of a geek. I love going down.
I don't know if you could call it an album, but The Decline holds a special place in my heart.
That's
That's
good.
great. That's really good. I like Punk and Drublick. I like that one because I love the song "The Bruise."
You read the book? Sorry, you read the book?
I haven't. What's it called again? It's something.
Hepatitis. Was it
Hepatitis
Bathtub and Other Stories or something like that? It's amazing.
Yeah, I bet it's great. I really want to listen to the audiobook of that. Apparently, it's really
actually,
good.
that's a really good band to run to.
Yeah, because you can sing along as well.
Yeah, I think Fat Mike's favourite band is Bad Religion, so all roads lead to Bad Religion.
Yeah,
love a bit of Bad Religion. So you're obviously talking about your the sort of kind of reasonably positive outlook and that sort of thing. Is that kind of the reason you chose to promote your singles for charity? So for Dark Before the Dawn was for the Stephen Lawrence Trust for Black Lives Matters. Busy Living, I think, was for Mind, and obviously Good Days was for NHS charities.
Yeah,
bands don't make any money anymore unless you tour it. We certainly don't make much money. I mean, like we were saying, Jack was saying before, if we're not on tour, we don't sell too much merch compared to if we're on the road.
Yeah, so we thought what the small amount we do get, it'd be good to give to these important charities, because I also thought like it's a very easy thing. Like, you know, I'm not buying a house with the money we get off our digital sales of our single. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't put a roof over my head. or anybody's, I wouldn't think, because digital, you get such a small fraction. So
unless you're Ed Sheeran or the Beatles.
Yeah. So I thought that it might invite people to actually spend a bit of money where they wouldn't buying a digital single, because I don't think many people do that anyway. So I thought, if it gives them a reason, maybe they'll do it. And then any small thing we can give to these important charities is good. And we didn't raise loads, but I mean, by the end of it, we did like a few hundred for each one, which is way more than zero for each one. I mean,
so I work for a small charity. I mean, the last year has been hell for like a small independent charity. So, so we don't make much money, but a couple of £100 here and there for words,
Yeah.
We're not going to make that anyway. So we're pretty pleased, happy, and it might encourage people to,
visit the site, visit the website or something.
Well, somebody might just stream it. Someone who's got Spotify might just go, "Oh, there's £25 for Mind or whatever. I've been affected by that." So no one loses really.
What percentage do you get from streaming services, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I don't know. What for Spotify?
Yeah,
Spotify.
I feel like Spotify.
It's so minuscule. We've never received a Spotify check in our 7 years of existence.
Really?
I think it's like something like 0.003% or something. Is that right, Craig?
I did see a picture. I don't know how true it was. What social media is like. Yeah. I did see a picture going around about how many streams you had to get to make a certain amount.
But it's as good as nothing, I would say. Again, unless you're like in the billions of listens, it's as good as nothing. But I don't mind it being on Spotify and these kind of streaming services, because anyone that's listening to it, I'm happy with. It's we can't always afford to buy records all the time or buy CDs all the time, and £9.99 a month for Spotify, although it's quite a demonic company, I would think, that makes money off artists, but really, if they listen to us and they enjoy it, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Like we didn't start the band to be millionaires, thank God, because we're not. So
waiting
around to be a millionaire. Yeah, no, I don't think we're just happy with people hearing us, basically.
No, but without getting morbid, we've had some really deep personal messages going. This song is, I was at tipping point and I heard this song and you guys got me through it. So, if it resonates with one person, then job done, really. It's not about the money.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, we live in a society where kind of people think everything success is around money, and like it's not.
Not at all. No, we're successful because we've communicated our feelings, our thoughts and our passions. We've communicated that across space and time, and people are listening to it in Guernsey or Ukraine or Scotland. This is crazy that we've been able to do this. It's like it's like we've got a megaphone and we're shouting from the rooftops. This is what we feel like. This is who we are, and people are shouting back, albeit in our messages on Instagram saying, we hear you, or I feel the same way. It's pretty powerful if you think about it. Not, we're not a powerful band, but just the idea of music in that way, if you think about it in that conceptual way, it's pretty fucking amazing, isn't it?
We've kind of alluded a bit to COVID-19 and stuff like that, but I was just wondering, it's obviously forced bands to kind of rethink how they engage with their fans and make a living. And I was just wondering, do you think there's actually any positives that have been born out of the current crisis?
Oh, I don't know. I think there was maybe a year ago, last month. I don't know. I think people are. I don't know.
Do you know one thing I thought of, and we did talk about this in another interview we did, but the question was similar, and it made me think, like, when it comes to the arts, I'll talk about the arts really, because it's hard to comment on the positive effects of society as a whole, but like if people understand, or maybe have a refreshed, renewed respect and understanding of the arts and bands and theatre and films and all this kind of stuff, I think that's positive. I certainly have. You know, I miss gigs so much, and I miss going to the theatre, and I miss going to art galleries. And you think like, God, it's like you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And in that way, I think that a kind of, hopefully with that refreshed appreciation of it, or, you know, at least acknowledging that, oh shit, I actually really like that thing, then maybe there will be a different understanding and respect of artists as well. Because I mean, unless you play music or you make art in different ways, you don't really like I didn't, and there's plenty of parts of the arts that I don't understand, that you don't really understand that world. So people might think, Craig, people might think me and you make loads of money. They might think this is our only job. They might think that, you know, that it's great fun and there's no hard work involved or whatever. And I think really this has been a good period for people to be like, oh shit, actually, you know, maybe I will go to the gig next time. Maybe I will buy that T-shirt, or maybe I will, you know, support the band in whatever way I can, because I think there's been I think people are realizing how many artists struggle with stuff. Like, if this was our only job, Craig, we'd be fucked basically. We would be anyway, but you know what I mean. Like there's no furlough scheme for us or anything like that. So I do think the positives could be, you know, if there are any venues left and the promoters and the venue owners haven't, you know, given up on the industry, I do think that when gigs do come back, or when things do come back in that way, I think it's just going to be a wonderland. You know, I've worked at music venues and for years, and there's so many quiet gigs. Like even in London, in central London, I used to work at a music venue, and it's amazing bands playing to nobody. You know, again, I'm not throwing any shade on anyone, but you think like, God, that's a shame, isn't it? Like, that's a shame that there's no one at this gig and the band are awesome. So maybe that will happen less. That's my hope anyway.
I think people I'm just going to say, I think people were nice for about maybe 2 or 3 months, and then they just got back to their old ways. That's nicer, what I found.
Nicer, anyway. You mean, yeah.
But I mean, I'm out all the time working and dealing with the public, and I kind of, I don't know, it's a weird, in London anyway, it's kind of, London's always got a shit attitude, hasn't it? Without sound, you know, negative.
Grant and Snedds, I know maybe it is not how it works, but do you think there's going to be any positives? Or what positives can you see arising or whatever?
Kind of similar to yourself, Jack. I can't remember in which interview you were kind of talking about it.
It could be the end of the Tory party thing.
That's a major positive. But I think you said something along the lines of that it's taught you to kind of live more slowly, I think was the words that you used.
Yeah.
And I think people are kind of rediscovering old hobbies and interests in that, because they're, you know, they can't get out. So, you know, people are probably exercising a bit more.
Yeah.
I think the hope would probably be that they're kind of exercising a bit more. I think you're right about the kind of music industry. I think people are itching to go to gigs. I know that both me and Snedds are. I was watching the video for Levisham Lover earlier on, and Welshy, you went into the pub. There's a scene where you went into the pub, and I could feel myself.
What's that?
Exactly. I could feel myself salivating like a Pavlovian dog just at the sight of you picking up that pint. I was like, oh. So yeah, I think I would agree. I kind of hope that people.
We might not be able to book a gig for about 8 years. I think everyone's going to be trying to into every venue, which is good. Like Jack said, it might do some good for someone who might be playing in front of 3 people. They might be playing in front of 40 people.
Yeah,
you know, baby steps, isn't it? You don't know.
And we could.
Sorry,
No, go on, Snedds.
I mean, I think like Welshy was saying, there was like a sort of initial kind of like wave of positivity, like nationally. I think that there was that sort of positive attitude. We'll get through this together, kind of thing.
Yeah, when Hope Rituals came out for that month, and then everyone stopped listening to it.
Well, to be fair, like
It.
I think you mentioned Hope Rituals was this sort of lockdown album that maybe people would remember, and I think it for me it will be, because it does have that kind of, it did have that kind of positive response for me, and it was just a really fun, enjoyable album, and it came at a good time. But I think that kind of initial wave of positivity, because everything's gone on so long, that is kind of just kind of, the curve has gone back down. But
I think that's just human nature, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely. But I would say that maybe it's specifically for bands and that kind of thing. I suppose it has shown that there are other ways to kind of, if you can encourage your fans to support you in other ways than perhaps you obviously don't have access to gigs, but if you can encourage your fans to support in other ways, then quite a lot of them actually will, and through the likes of Patreon and even just kind of chucking a few quid via PayPal for a live stream or whatever. So there are positives there, and I think some of that stuff like Patreon and things, kind of exclusive access to extra material and stuff, I think that kind of thing will continue.
Yes, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think, and that is a really positive thing to take away, because it's like people have been introduced to a connection with a band that they wouldn't have otherwise seen. It's like, oh, there's that band that I see them live now and again. I read an interview online, but like you're right, yeah, the Patreon thing and different schemes that people have put in place, or different events have been like. Also, I think it's important to show a bit of honesty and be like, listen, guys, like, we don't make much money, a few quid for a live stream, or this, that, and the other might help us record the next album. It's kind of, it's good to have mystique and all that around bands sometimes, but really I think this has been a good like transparency exercise, where it's like, okay guys, I can't gig, that means that the band is on its arse, and so people have, it's a good thing, I think, and you're right, it will continue.
I just hope it's not, without sounding cynical, it's like, oh, Guns N' Roses doing a tour, 250 quid a ticket. Yeah, we haven't been to a gig in 3 years. Let's go see them.
Oh no!
Wasn't there?
Like, go to a horrible, sweaty. As
Well, didn't Kiss come out recently and say they were doing a live stream, and the tickets were going to be like 40 quid.
Oh man!
And it's like, I mean, it's a live stream.
Like Dubai or Singapore, one of those, probably where all their bank accounts are held. They do something dodgy there.
Right.
I think it was Singapore. They did a live stream. It's just like, no, thank you. My missus absolutely loves Kiss. I think, check this out. I've got this in my lounge. I mean, come on.
Epic.
Burn this live on stream. Come on.
Mate, you could charge 40 quid for this stream now.
Yeah. We'll probably actually get sued by Kiss for showing that.
That's their most modest of all their merch. You know what I mean? Like that, a poster. What? They do that? I thought it was just lunchboxes and lighters and sex toys or whatever.
Don't get me started about Kiss. I like to go watch some loads.
Right.
I never, none of my money.
You're funding Gene Simmons and his ivory tower. So single-handedly.
So apart from connecting with the fans, guys, what do you miss about touring?
Being stuck in the van talking rubbish.
Yeah, mate, I miss absolutely everything.
Samosas and really beige food from service stations.
I actually miss it. Yeah, sitting in a van with your friends, talking for like 8 hours, like 8-9 hours a day in vans, driving around. and it can get quite deep because you kind of underslept on like an adrenaline come down or an actual come down, and hungover or whatever. But you reach like reach quite a deep place because you kind of, it's a shared goal, it's a shared passion, and you kind of trapped in this van for a little bit.
Sometimes it's not always great.
No, it's shit, but then that's part of it. Yeah, sometimes it's crap. It's freezing cold, but I love it all. Yeah, I love the people you meet. I love staying at random people's houses, which is what we do usually on tour, or other bands put us up for the night, sleep on their couch, meeting new people, walking around cities or towns that you've never been to, trying to cram in a whole day of sightseeing in about 3 hours before sound check.
I know it sounds really weird. I love service stations. I just find I find them so bizarre.
No one's ever said that before.
It's such a weird, especially at the weekend. You got all the football fans. It is.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one's done like a reality TV show or something on service stations.
Yeah, that would be good. Like airports, but like.
Yeah, just people. Everyone's coming and going. No. Everyone's either going to the toilet or buying a coffee or a donut.
Yeah, and you see some characters. Sometimes you see other bands that are on tour.
I mean, I don't want to get like disgusting, but I've heard some of the best farts of all time. Like,
fucking hell.
Service stations are awesome.
Yeah, no, like.
I love it. I mean, they're not cool. I mean, I wouldn't want to live there, but it's such a weird, bizarre. There's no place like them.
Limbo.
And I miss them immensely.
Like Mos Eisley Spaceport or some shit like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. Seriously, we've seen fights and all sorts.
Yeah. So basically, Grant, in answer to your question, everything, even the shit parts, we miss it all, man. And we've played gigs to 5 people before, less than that. Paid gigs to the bar staff and the sound technician, but I would play one of those in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? I would love to play a dead gig in the middle of nowhere tomorrow. I'd love that so much. So
I'd go see Nickelback tonight. If I could see a band and get a pint, I would do it.
I used to rock to that Nickelback album, not gonna lie. Silver Side Up. No regrets. I like it. Thought it rocks.
Have you guys got a favourite venue? Or a venue that holds a special place in your heart?
What, from playing? Any at this rate.
I like. Do you know what? There's this venue. This just came to mind, Craig. I don't know if you agree. Special place in my heart might be a bit of a stretch, but it's definitely.
I think I know what you're going to say.
It's definitely a staple, and it's called Subside, and it's in Birmingham. And hey, I'm not slagging it. I like the venue. It's great. It's great. We've been put on there more than any other gig. More than any other venue. So more than in London even. And we're a band that are based in London. So we've played there probably like 7 times. And
we've got a mate who's a promoter, and so we've got a night off. He's like, yeah, come play, I'll give you 100 quid. It's free entry. We must have played there about, I don't know, 7 times.
Played there so many times with metal bands, with punk rock bands, pop punk bands, acoustic acts. But it's really good because although the venue isn't perfect, there's a lot of people in the venue that aren't there to watch the bands, if you know what I mean. It's like one room, so there's people drinking booze and playing pool with punk rock t-shirts on that aren't actually watching the punk rock bands. It's one of those ones. Yeah, and it's like, I feel a bit like saying, oh, guys, you might like this, turn around. But but I love it because it's kind of, it's a bit haphazard. You keep your gear in this tiny little side bit, this like side corridor that's too skinny for human entry, and then
it's complete opposite.
It's good, and it's dead cheap, and they do dead cheap food. But I like this place because I've got nothing but good memories, and it's kind of like almost every tour we've ever done around the UK, we played at Subside. and
It's
that means something, you know.
It's the venue where no one gives a fuck, and then the juxtaposition is you go to a venue. Have you got a pass there to get in? Have you got this? And
it's the opposite of that. And we saw the sound technician fall asleep while one of the bands was playing one time. Fell asleep while one of the metal bands was playing. Now that is as don't give a fuck as it gets, really.
Yeah, we'd rather be playing that than Wembley.
Yeah, we turned down Wembley all the time. We turned it down.
But we did get offered Wembley once, but we said if they couldn't get that sound guy, then we weren't going to do it. And they so we said no.
So maybe just going back to it's going back to Hope Rituals a little bit. When I kind of first read about WACO, there was this kind of cosmic rock description, which maybe, in my opinion, kind of applies a bit more to Human Magic. But as with kind of all genre labels, that barely covers the extent of WACO's sound. I mean, when you listen to Hope Rituals, there's a bit of everything on it. You've got a bit of Pink Floyd and Black Sabbath on Barracuda. You've got Blondie on Learn to Live Again. Some Boston on Busy Living.
Hey.
And there's Wild Hearts, and there's even a bit of Monster Magnet in there. How does that kind of come about? How do you set about incorporating that into your music, or does it just come fairly naturally through
music fans? We've had a few reviews and they've said, someone said, this band don't know what genre they want to be. It's like we just all listen to loads of different. We've never set out to say, right, we're going to be a punk band, we're going to be a this, we're going to be a that. We just love loads of different types of music. I love the Village People. I love Rancid. I love ELO. I love Genesis.
Luckily we're not
such a mishmash of influences. We don't set out to go, we're going to write a punk song. We just write, and that's what comes out.
But sometimes we, exactly what Craig said. Luckily we're not very restricted in our appreciation of rock music, because rock is so broad. So I think if it's within rock music, there's so much you can do. And it's, although Craig said we don't set out to write just punk songs, like we do sometimes take a song or take a bit of a song and be like, it would be cool to write a song like that. Or, imagine if we tried to write a song like 10cc, or we tried to write a song like, the Village People is a good example, because the Village People, Macho Man, the live version of Macho Man was Craig's biggest influence for Learn to Live Again. With the drums and the tempo and just the put together of the song. So he was like, we'll try and do it like Macho Man. And obviously the outcome isn't like Macho Man really, but I think in trying to do our shortcomings in trying to replicate Blondie or do our own version of Sabbath or whatever, our shortcomings kind of make it ours. And obviously when it doesn't sound like actual classic rock, or obviously we're not as good as the Wild Hearts, but it's kind of like we can try and do our version of that. So sometimes we do, we do playfully we have a playful approach to it, going like, oh, should we try and do this? And Learn to Live Again was probably the one where I certainly was like, have we gone too far? Like, is this even within our world? Like, it was a bit of a disco song, but then as soon as you get those distorted guitars on it, and obviously my voice is recognizable as me, I guess, then after that, after it gets all mashed up, then it kind of sounds like Waco at the end. So yeah, that was one. Learn to Live Again was particularly one where I thought, is this gonna...
I'd want to do,
like, go on.
I was going to say, I wanted to do a disco song for ages.
And that's the closest we're going to get, unless we get some...
But I think it's weird because Jack's got such a unique voice, like a Yorkshire Northern voice. I don't know, it kind of works because it's always going to be Waco. It's always going to sound like Waco. So we could do a grindcore song, we could do a swing song, and it'll probably always sound like Waco. Yeah, I think eventually people will... after about 7 albums, when we've done every single genre, oh yeah, actually, they'll just kind of accept it. But I'm not a big fan of I brought up earlier, people talking about, the genre hopping and that, because we don't set out to genre hop. It's not that at all. No,
and really, yeah, I agree. Like, it's not like, let's just put this kind of song in there just to fuck with people. It's more, it's like, we like classic rock, or we like 70s rock, and we like punk and hardcore. Surely there are other people out there that like this as well. Like, we could, and I've thought about this before, I thought, I really like hardcore music, and I thought, like, it'd be cool to start like a side project. I never told you this, Craig, but I thought it would be cool to start like a side project that was like just all hardcore, fast as fuck, like hardcore kind of punk rock, a bit like Kid Dynamite. But then I thought I could just do that with Waco. I thought, like, if there's something I want to explore, it's not like off the table. Nothing is sniggered at or turned away. It's kind of like, that's why Physio, I was like, Physio, it's fast as fuck, but like maybe we can get away with it. And really, I feel totally creatively free in the writing process with Waco. And especially because I'm writing stuff on my keyboard now. It's like, obviously, if you hear the stuff I write on the keyboard, it sounds like a really bad version of Hot Chocolate or something like that. But then as soon as we all get together, it all comes together, man. It's not a magical process, but if you're playing in a band or if you're involved in that kind of writing process, there's a little thimble full of magic in it. We're not the best band in the world, but any band knows this. There's a little something where like, when it all clicks together, it sounds like you, and it's otherworldly.
That's also been our hindrance, the kind of different genres, because like we were saying earlier, so I'm going on a run, I want to put Bad Religion or No Effects on. It's like, people can't put us in a box, and people like to put bands in a box.
Yeah. So it has been a bit of a hindrance in some ways. We play the pop, but it kind of means that we stand out in a lot of gigs. Like, not always because we're amazingly talented, just because we're like, they put us on a metal gig or a punk rock gig or an indie gig, and we kind of, in that way, we're not exactly one thing, which I think is a really positive thing. But I think often there are certain guidelines that promoters or labels or even music fans kind of stick to in their head.
People are lazy. I think that's the problem. People are lazy, and it's like, it's like a grindcore band or a thrash band. It's like you can't just be a band, really.
Well, yeah, we're trying to.
That's part of why Hope Rituals is so good, though, because it's so varied, and you kind of don't know quite what's going to come next. And like you said, whilst there are a lot of different things going on, it still all sounds like the same band. It all still sounds like Waco. So it's a really, I think that's a positive.
Thank you, man. Thanks so much. Yeah, that really means a lot.
You guys are music fans, so you get it. We're music fans, we're not trying to prove anything or whatever. I think music fans just dig it because they get it. I think that's the bottom line.
That could be our quote. That could be the pull quote. Music fans just get it, so they dig it.
Years going to punk gigs and thrash gigs and crusty gigs, and kind of a lot of people look the same, and they just want to hear that. They just want to fit into that box. And then where they flap the lids open and go cooey. Here we are. So, and you guys listen to your review. It's just like you get it, and you like alternative music, and it's like, oh, this is actually, it's all good. It doesn't matter what genre it is.
Yeah. I've noticed that about the Head Scratcher. It's positively varied as well. It's not a punk thing. It's not alt rock. It's not just like it spans a lot of genres, and that's reflective of your guys' open-mindedness when it comes to music. So it's a positive thing you're doing as well.
Cheers, guys.
See, with regards to your videos, you look as if you have great fun making your videos. Do you have an idea of what the videos are going to look like, or is it when you're writing the music, or is it something that comes afterwards?
Oh, good question. Never when we're writing the music do we think of the videos, but sometimes it's too good to not. So it's too funny or silly or perfect of an idea to not. I'm
going to go to the toilet and I'm going to see if anyone notices.
But you know what I mean? Like, so say Busy Living is green screen of me living this yuppie lifestyle, but it's really in my head. That fits with the song. It kind of fits with the lyrics a bit, and the feel of the kind of the Huey Lewis and the News vibe that we were going for. So that was like, we got to do this kind of video. And that's so, and Good Days is like, we weren't planning to get too conceptual on Good Days, so it's like, this is a fun song. We tried to make it a fun song, so let's fit it with that. Let's fit within that theme. So we don't think of it, but we do have a lot of fun making videos, and that's just another. This is why it's so good I think it's so good being in this band with these freaks. Is that we can live out all these little miniature dreams of like becoming a movie director or acting in some alien B movie, and Watch the Skies. Like it kind of gives us the freedom to do this stupid stuff that we wouldn't otherwise have. I always think this with friends that aren't in bands, for example. Friends of mine, like, it's funny when I say things like, oh, we're going to go to the woods and we're going to film like this alien B movie for one of our video singles. It's hilarious because it's like, in no other context would you really do that unless you were an amateur filmmaker or like a budding actor. But I was like, yeah, I'm just going to go and do that just because it'll get a few more clicks on YouTube and Instagram. And you're like, oh, this is actually really fun. It lets us be quite childish and connect with that creative child within ourselves, which we all have. We're all creative, So yeah, it's the videos are a massive part of it. That's part of why it's like you finish the album, finish the music, then you start thinking of the videos, and it's like, God, this is like a whole second.
Baby,
back. It's like a whole second fun creative process doing the video. So yeah, expect many more from us. We've already got some planned.
Good man. I suppose.
Sorry, did you talk about the new video?
No, I haven't mentioned it.
Okay, we're doing a new video in a couple of weeks for. You can get the exclusive, surely. You guys deserve it.
Inside scoop.
We're doing for the song "A New Future."
The last song, the really long one.
Yeah, imagine Thunderbirds and Stingray. That's what we're going for.
Right. Okay.
It's going to be a 7-minute prog odyssey through marionette, space, and psychedelia.
Okay. Will you guys be the marionette puppets? Will you have strings attached to you, or what can we expect?
We can't give that much away, I'm afraid. Okay. Once you're inside the puppet circle, you cannot reveal your secrets, I'm afraid. the puppeteer's circle. But that's going to be a fun one. Yeah, that's linked to the song. It's like an alien space travel odyssey. It'd be rude not to, wouldn't it?
Yeah. That probably leads on fairly well to the sort of whole vibe of WACO as this kind of metaphysical philosophy, paranormal, conspiracy theories. What's your sort of most out there song in those terms, do you think?
Watch the Skies, maybe.
Oh yeah, Watch the Skies. Yeah, that's about our alien ancestors. So that our Earth was seeded by alien ancestors that are actually not alien at all. They're humans like us, but they're way more advanced. So they've advanced, and then they've seeded the Earth. So they've put humans here, and then we're building up towards technological advance in order to be then rescued by our alien extraterrestrial human ancestors. It's slightly based on a legit religious belief, which is exactly that I said, that we're actually humans, you know.
Also,
but we're gonna be saved by aliens one day.
The Church of
also
no,
believing
it's similar, but yeah.
Similar, okay.
Believing in aliens, people might think you're mad, but the same person who thinks you're mad believes in God. So, is there much difference?
There you go. It's the rail. Do you know? I took influence from the realism religion, which is I've got one of the books here, but I'm using it to stand the thing. I wrote an article about the religion, and it was fascinating. You know, it was kind of like a science fiction. Well, it was like a science-based religion, atheist religion. It was all about these advanced humans that would come back and rescue us one day, and you can actually pray and speak to them. So it's a bit like kind of transposing all those ideas of when you speak to angels or speak to God, then they're like, oh no, you're actually speaking to extraterrestrials. You know, so it's a bit like that book, Chariot of the Gods. They explore some of those themes that are like all of the religious scriptures and texts are actually alien encounters. You know, a lot of these events were alien encounters rather than speaking to God or gods. To the point where in realism, they believe that the Elohim, you might have heard this word before, the Elohim, it's also very present in Mormonism and Judaism and Christianity. The Elohim in the Torah is the word for God, okay? But the word Elohim is actually plural. In Hebrew, it's plural, okay? So that's quite a big distinction, right? Right, instead of the word for God is a plural word, so that means either gods. They say it means Elohim are the angels. So they think, so they've reinterpreted all these Abrahamic religious scriptures as like, oh, you know, like we're actually visited by, you know, people speak to aliens when they pray, and we have visitations from aliens, not angels, and they help us. So, you know, sounds quite out there, but I would say no more out there than religious doctrine.
Yeah, people think aliens are mental, yet they'll go to church every Sunday. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, you know.
There's nothing wrong with either. I would say.
Yeah, but I think it's strange to point the
finger. Double standards. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you guys? Do you believe there's extraterrestrial life out there? Maybe not that they're going to come and save us and that they're our descendants, our ancestors, but do you believe that we're alone in the universe?
I'm still trying to get over that explanation, Jack. You've blown my mind.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't given it all that much thought. I was watching something recently.
I watched a documentary called Love and Saucers. It was a guy who started painting pictures of his memories of losing his virginity to aliens.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about this.
So,
Pretty
that
interesting.
might be the concept for our third album. You never know.
Mhm. So, Grant, you've not given it much thought, but
Well,
you
I haven't. I listened to a podcast which you may or may not have heard of called Mysterious Universe. It's two Australian guys. It's been
Okay.
on the go for years, like I don't know, must be about 15 years. And they talk a lot about that. I watched something recently as well. I think it was on Netflix actually. It was called Alien Worlds, and they talked about how many, I think they call them exoplanets that exist out with our solar system, and the number was phenomenal. And I was
Yeah.
like, well, there must be. There just has to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, the rule of statistics.
We've got caves that have got, crazy like pH levels, no oxygen, and there's living beings in there. So why wouldn't there be beings on other planets that are full of whatever, chemical?
Oh, yeah. What we might think is inhospitable planet that we think nothing could live there, but we're constantly finding things on the Earth that survive off arsenic or whatever. There's all sorts of things. What about you, Sned?
I think I just like to keep an open mind. I don't know if I'm an active like, well, there's definitely aliens out there, but I think it's hard to kind of just say there's nothing out there. I think that's foolish to, like what Grant was saying. There's so many other worlds out there that it'd be foolish to think that we're the only one out there that's got life on it. But
Yeah.
I'm a huge like sci-fi fan, so I think I've got a general kind of openness to those kind of concepts anyway. So I don't know. I think it's more. I'm quite an evidence-based person, so I need to see stuff to generally believe it. But there is a lot of stuff out there that you can't just explain away.
You've got three sci-fi films to watch the rest of your life. What are they? Go.
Starship Troopers.
Good one.
Probably The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
Nice.
And what would the third one be? Jurassic Park. That's probably one of my favorite films.
That is a good one. That is sci-fi. I didn't really think of it like that, but yeah, it is science fiction, definitely.
I mean, it's fantasy as well, but it is definitely, like, if you read the book, it's very heavy sci-fi.
Yeah, my missus says the books are great. She's got all the books.
The books are brilliant. Yeah.
Ron, what about you? 3 sci-fi films. That's all you're allowed to watch. What are they going to be?
You put me on the spot. Probably one of the Star Wars films. Probably Empire Strikes Back. I'm nicking one of Snedds'.
Phantom Menace.
Trying to think. There was what's it called again? Is it Circles? No. I'm at a loss. Sorry, guys.
Craig, Grant didn't say he was a big sci-fi fan anyway. You've just put him on the spot with
I just like knowing.
I watched a good one, Color Out of Space, the new Nicolas Cage one. It was written by H.P. Lovecraft. It came out last year, and they adapted one of H.P. Lovecraft short stories, and it's got Nick Cage in it, and it's absolutely bonkers. And it's a bit like The Thing, but a bit psychedelic. It's good. I recommend that one, Color Out of Space. I don't know if anyone's seen it.
You told me. I've got it on my list.
It's good. It's funny, but it's pretty out there.
Have you guys got any personal experiences of stuff like this that you'd want to share?
I haven't. One thing, I haven't got anything. I've not seen or heard anything. I've heard stories from friends that have been really convincing and just weird. But I think there's something that gets ignored, perhaps, or something that I think is important is like the multi-dimensional aspect of UFOs or of supernatural encounters. You think like the multi-dimensional, that there are more than 3 dimensions. That's a very common scientific theory, belief. There are different dimensions. We can't see them or access them, and there's even multiverses. This is quite a common belief in the scientific community. So I think some of the stuff we see and experience, or the people see and experience, could be more in that world, as in like things melting over into the third dimension from a different dimension. Because I find it hard to believe sometimes that like a spaceship could come all the way to this planet from a different planet, which is so far away, and then you look at it and it looks like a tin fucking plate, like hovering above like a council estate, and you think like, what would it look like that really if it's come all this way? Why would it look so basic and human? You know what I mean? Or so I think that a lot of these encounters maybe are like a melting of the, or like a kind of like like something coming through from a different dimension, maybe a bit like ghosts even. Like time is a construct, right? It only exists because we observe it. So when someone's dead and then someone sees that person, even though they've died, I don't think that belief should be in the supernatural world of, ooh, you believe in spirits. It's like, no, they died from our perspective, but that version of them still exists. If you look at it in like
the brain is a
quantum physics way, you know what I mean?
Brain's a crazy computer as well.
It's a crazy computer.
I was doing an epilepsy course today at work. So,
have you seen any UFOs, Craig?
Yeah, I was walking home. I'm from Jersey originally. I was walking home from the village. In for a few drinks, nothing mad. I was walking home with my missus, and which is good because I was a bit pissed.
And you don't want to get abducted by yourself. That'd be
exactly
annoying.
You don't want that to happen. And I remember pointing up and going, "Oh, look, there's some fireworks up there," and there was a few pink lights coming down. And you know, when fireworks come down, you think they're going to explode.
Yeah.
And they stopped, and I was like, "Whoa, that's weird." And then a few more came, and then they all just went up and disappeared.
Well,
tried to get pictures, nothing.
Interesting.
She was freaking out. She hates anything ghosts, UFOs. It freaks her out big time, and she's seen it. So,
what do you think that was? Because there's two ways of looking at that. That could be UFOs, aliens from a different universe or whatever, but from a different solar system, or it could be like military crafts that we don't know anything about. You know, like secret military training, whatever routines.
I mean, not really. I don't think it was. I mean, not where I was living.
It's more likely to be aliens.
It's always anything with aliens. No.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah.
Well, I heard something. I heard something in our hallway in the night. She was like, "What's that? Aliens."
No, it's a weird thing, but like,
who's drunk all my gin? Alien.
I mean, I think there's a weird thing going on where obviously the militaries need to test things, and they have a lot of technology that we don't know about, understandably. And there's also this like as an element to the UFO narrative that is purposefully spread because it actually plays into the hands. It's actually good for militaries to think that people go, "Oh, it's an alien," instead of thinking, "Holy shit, they've got a silent helicopter," or "They've got a silent disc, or a drone out." You know what I mean? Like it plays into that. Yeah, they want people to believe that it's a UFO because the reality might be maybe fucking terrifying and like ethically questionable.
Divide and conquer, tale as old as time.
Yep.
You know, split the weirdos up, and that's how it works. That's how they control us.
But we're the weirdos, and we'll stick together, Craig. This is how we beat them.
Oh.
All right, where do we go from there?
Anything will go anywhere. What's your favorite soda pop?
Sparkling water.
I'm asking you because you're Scottish, because I was having a conversation about this earlier with a friend.
Oh, I am Brie, you mean? Oh, it could be.
I am brew or Lucozade is probably my go-to drink when I'm hungover.
Yeah.
I love Iron
In
Brew.
a can. In a can.
In a can. Well, ideally a bottle. The glass bottle is the.
Ah, amazing.
See,
Amazing.
I work with people with learning disabilities, and the amount of people who don't know about Iron Brew is like, come on, hello.
Can you buy it in England? I know that that was an urban legend for years that you couldn't get it south of the border.
No, I've seriously turned so many people onto Iron Brew.
It's not that common. You can't get it in every off license, but you can get it in a lot. And it's not.
I love it.
Yeah, I love it as well.
I remember reading you guys are quite into, is it Cherry B? Is that still your drink of choice?
Yeah, it's well good. That's a bit like Buckfast, actually. It's a little tonic wine.
Is a big thing.
It's like it's like that, but it's in a smaller bottle, and I think it's probably the same percentage, like what 12-13% or something, and it's strong, but it's just a tasty drink. I only saw it in London for the first time, and it's like a shot of it's like a long shot of Buckfast.
Shit wine.
But you don't get Buckfast very much in England anyway. I don't see it very often, which is a shame because I quite like Bucky.
Yeah, it's the connoisseur's choice up in Scotland.
yeah. The tonic wine tasting.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Iron Brew. There's a drink from where we're from up north called Murray Cup, and it's kind of gone into almost legendary status because we stopped making it a few years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like the sort of holy grail to have a bottle of Murray Cup.
What is it?
It's just like a little sort of a red coloured like fruit drink.
All right, like Tizer.
Yeah, I guess a bit like Tizer, maybe.
It's quite.
I shouldn't compare Murray Cup to Tizer. I'm sorry, it's doing it an injustice.
What would you mix it with?
Oh, I mean, you just drink it. I once mixed it with tequila, and that was a really bad mistake.
Mixing anything with tequila is a bad mistake. I hate tequila.
Tequila and ginger ale is quite nice.
No, thank you. Disgusting. No one sober's ever gone, oh yeah, let's have a shot of tequila. That's a great idea, have they?
I have.
Tequila, on the other hand.
I quite like it. I quite like it. Oh, the coffee Patron is quite nice. Cafe Patron.
Oui.
Yeah, it's quite nice.
You say so.
So, guys, outside of WACO, you've both got a lot of stuff going on. How do you juggle everything?
So it's hard work, but it's really framing the WACO stuff as a hobby, really. That kind of justifies the money we put into it, the time we spend on it at the weekend. After work, instead of going. I can't even think of another hobby. Instead of going swimming, is that a hobby? Instead of playing golf, that's a good comparison. Instead of playing golf, we would do this at the weekend. So we kind of treat the tours as a bit of a holiday, a lad's holiday, really. Obviously take it seriously, but given the fact that we all work full time and two of us are freelancer, that takes a lot of time and a lot of creative energy. I think it's just being thankful for what we have and just seeing it as just enjoying it, really enjoying it, not putting too much pressure on the whole thing. Like, again, if this was our only thing, if this was our only sole job and income, I think that would actually be really detrimental for the band, like, because it's just too much pressure.
Yeah.
So I think that I understand there's a lot of people, we're quite lucky we somewhat enjoy what we do, all of us, but I think it can be strenuous if you're like, God, I really, if you put too much pressure on the music, because it's like, what you're going to do, mathematically work out how to write a hit single. It just doesn't make sense. Like the industry and people's tastes and things like that are so unpredictable. So we kind of treat it, well, I can speak for me, but I treat it as a fun thing that we enjoy doing, that we'd be doing if no one came to the gigs. And if no one bought our records, we'd still be making them. And then if other people like it, it's kind of a bonus. That's the way I see it. And that's the way I can dedicate some time to it as I would playing golf with my mates. Craig, would you agree?
You're really good at golf, by the way.
Yeah, I've got nothing on Alice Cooper.
I don't know. I mean, I'm no advocate on mental health, but I'm at my best when I'm really busy. I don't like not having anything to do.
Yeah.
So it works for me. Work, music. I don't like twiddling my thumbs. So
yeah, it's quite good actually. Yeah, I agree. With that in mind, it's quite good to always have something to work at. Like I said, even when we've just released or just finished recording our album, I'm still writing songs because it's kind of creativity can be a muscle that you have to work, that you have to flex and you have to build on. You build it. So I thrive in always having a creative outlet. And I've written loads of songs that no one's ever heard, and I'm sure Craig has, but it's kind of,
I've heard his songs, they're shit.
Yeah, and that's how I fit it in, because it's like, it's fun, but also I enjoy being creative. It's in no way a chore, and if it did become a chore, then maybe I'd have a break. But And
I think without sounding pretentious, I think people with creative minds kind of, I don't know how to explain it. It's a little bit easier, maybe, because you say, right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I can write music. I can.
Yeah.
I can only speak for myself. I know lockdown, for example, has been tough for people, but it's given me a lot of time for music. It's given me a lot of time for this, for that.
Yeah.
I can't complain.
And we have a lot of time, right? Like, not just us, the band. I mean, we as people, right? Like, we do have a lot of. Obviously, we work more than we should, I believe, and like people in the past actually had way more free time than we do now. We work 5 days a week. We don't need to work that much. We're making money, lining other people's pockets. I totally understand that. But even with a 5-day working week, I believe, well, the way I see it is I think I have a lot of free time, actually, depending on how you want to spend it. I don't sit and watch, Breaking Bad from start, I don't get into box sets and this kind of thing. So if I work at like 10 till 6, say, in a day, like obviously making space for relaxation time, like there is, if you're really passionate about something, you just make it work. There's plenty of time to do stuff. Like Saturday, Sunday, you can go out and get pissed with the mates, or I equally enjoy sitting at my keyboard or sitting with my guitar and writing music all day. That's leisure for me,
Man, you guys kind of talked about that you all do these little rituals before you play or before you perform. What are some of those, and how do they kind of keep you positive? And are there things you need to do before you go on stage?
What do you do, Craig?
Just try and have a couple of minutes free from the chaos of reality. Some, I don't, just meditation. I know it sounds, trying to get some space, some deep breathing, some time. And I do that in every aspect of life, not just gigging. Sometimes you might wake up and you feel a little bit anxious. I've got an app I can just stick a meditation on, and that really works. Or I can have a really long day at work that I'm not looking forward to, or meditate. I don't want to come across like a hippie. Playing in a band like WACO, I know it sounds a bit weird, but yeah, meditation's really good. Just taking time to stop and realize what you got, and I mean, I'm not a professor, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I know what works for me. And everyone's different, but meditation is really good. Stopping and thinking, I think, for like a minute is really good.
Yeah.
I know Jack's very similar.
Yeah, before I go on stage, I usually, again, quiet moment, usually in the van when no one's around. But to warm up my voice and also to kind of put me into a state of somewhat calm before I unleash hell on stage, I
He unleashes something.
I sing songs that I like. So the two that I sing often are.
None of them are WACO songs, by the way.
Oh no, hell no! I sing "Blues Run the Game."
Things "We Are the Cheeky Girls" and "Wannabe" by the Spice Girls.
I sing a song called "Blues Run the Game" by Jackson C. Frank. I really like that song. And I sing a song called "The Circle Game" by Joni Mitchell. And those two songs are really, really. I find them quite hard to sing, but they warm my voice up. But also, they're kind of really songs that I really love, so it kind of puts me in a bit of a state of calm before I go on, because it's like, yeah, because it's something that I love, the music that I love. And in outside life, any rituals, I mean, it's hard to keep them up, but I try and think about things that I'm grateful for before I go to sleep. You know, I'm not the first person to do this. Loads of people do this, but think about 3 things you're grateful for from your day, or from your week, or from your life. But the day is quite good, because it kind of even if you think of one thing you're grateful for, it can sometimes put you in a positive headspace going to sleep, or at least a grateful headspace going to sleep. So that's one thing I try and do. And meditation, like Craig said, and people think sometimes that it's difficult, your brain's too busy to meditate, and I get that all the time. But listen to peaceful music and just close your eyes for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, or listen to no music. And even if you're not like in some interdimensional trance, it's just like, well, I've just sat down and listened to peaceful sounds for 15 minutes. That can only be a good thing. I mean, I can't see any negatives coming from that. So even if you haven't properly got into the state and totally cleared your mind, don't give yourself a hard time about it. Just go, oh well, at least I've had
noise terror.
Yeah, at least I've had 10 minutes. Even closing your eyes and listening to music is not actually a bad idea at all. Any music that you like, and like deep listening to it. But yeah, meditation. But yeah, before I go on stage, just sing those 2 songs back to back. And the seasons, they go round.
I know it sounds really boring, but just go on YouTube and just put reading music, sit down with a book for half an hour, and you'll find some calming, relaxing stuff. Find a book or a subject you're interested in. And there's a lot of ways to ease the brain and slow the brain down. Because we're in this world now, it's just like social media. Blah, blah, blah. We all want that now, don't we?
Instant gratification.
Yeah,
there's a lot to take in our daily lives.
I think we need going forward. I'm not a politician. I think we need to try and slow our brains down a little bit and just stand back and take in, some fresh air and just go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, Instagram, for example.
Harder. I don't, not to get into that. God, I think it's getting harder for kids nowadays. Jeez. I'd hate to be a teenager in 2021.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's quite scary. I've got 2 young children, and I'm not with their mum anymore, but I try and limit the amount of time that they have access. Well, I try and limit the amount of screen time that they have, and try and get them out and be outside for as long as possible. Because you can see it. They've got tablets, little kind of kiddie tablets.
Especially now, it's probably a harder time than ever. Just to,
get them out and about. Yeah,
absolutely. But there is an over reliance on that type of thing, and I think we need to kind of get away from it.
Yes, I agree. There's a lot to take in. Just look at Instagram any day before you go to sleep. Even it's absolutely bonkers. There's so much to take in, and your brain, even if you're like half asleep looking, your brain your subconscious is working overtime. It's trying to take in this you know, meme from here, a half-naked woman from here, like an advert here, like someone's dinner there. It's like it does go in your head, even if you doesn't feel like it.
Jack's got some good naked pictures on there before bed if you want to have a quick check.
You've got me in my bikini, my dinner, you got my advert, you know. But I think, yeah, you're right. It's hard to. It's a bit like a freight train, like technology, a little bit, where it's like there are advances just for the sake of advances, and like, you know, obviously, Grant, you said your 2 young children. It's very helpful in some ways for them to be able to access programs and games, but also there's kind of no one. There's no like no one's policing. Well, not policing is the wrong word. No one's mindful, or people are not often mindful of. Oh, actually, maybe, yeah. Just because there are, you know, loads of games available, maybe we should do something else as well. You know, it must be difficult being a parent, I imagine.
Well, I think we've covered pretty much everything we were wanting to talk to you about in one way or another. So.
Sorry, we went on loads and loads and loads, but that's Jack to a T.
Oh, good. It's good.
No, that's what we want, though, guys. We want you guys to be talking, and it's better than us talking.
I love the Scottish accent so much. Where are you guys? Where are you guys right now?
We're from. Well, I'm in Ayrshire, so near Glasgow. It's kind of west of Glasgow,
Nice.
but we're both originally from a place called Keith. Which is in the heart of the malt whiskey trail. I don't know if you guys are into your whiskies, but
oh, nice.
That's where we're from originally. We don't.
I could be. Where's the best? Tell me. After this, send me where I can get the best malt whiskey, and we'll talk.
How do you guys know each other?
From school.
No way! Wow, lifelong friends. That's great. And then, so you grew up together, but now you live in different cities or different areas.
Yeah. So I'm in Edinburgh just now. We lived together in the same city for a few years when we were at uni, and then just, you know, as you get older, you move to different parts of the country and whatnot. But yeah,
I absolutely love Scotland.
What?
I'm gonna say it.
What inspired you to do the head scratcher and to take on this big project? I know it's been going for a while, right?
Part of it was, I think my soul was a little bit destroyed by my career, just kind of working really hard, long hours, and I, you know, I read a lot of like pop culture articles and listen to a lot of music and all that kind of stuff. And I think I was just kind of reading an article one day, and I was like, I could probably do that.
Yeah.
And I just took it up as a hobby, and that's kind of how the website started. And that's been going for a few years, just kind of drip feeding it myself. Yeah. But I think the podcast, I'd been thinking about it for a while, and then I think I just talked to Grant about it in the pub when I was drunk. I was just like,
Jamie,
would you be up for this?
Right, here you go. Both of you. You're on a desert island, you're allowed to listen to 3 bands, whole discographies the rest of your life. What 3 bands are there? Easy. Go for
it. Pixies, Rancid, and The Doors, probably.
Oh, wow. That is a good selection. Rancid is...
Ruben. I would say Pearl Jam, but half of their discography is crap. So I like, if I could just listen to like the first few albums, I would pick Pearl Jam. And I think I would still say Brand New, even though they're slightly problematic. I do still love those albums.
Yeah. Nice.
Jack, what about you?
Oh, Bob Marley and the Wailers. I really like AC/DC and maybe Steely Dan. I love Steely Dan, and I know all 3 of those bands have got discographies that I've got enough in their discography for me to enjoy. There's even some Steely Dan and some AC/DC that I don't know, so that's quite exciting. Probably stuff that's like their most recent, the most recent stuff. So yeah, I'd probably see those three, because they're the bands that I would listen to the most albums of. You know what I mean? What about you, Craig?
ELO.
Yes.
I love ELO. Everything. The Wild Hearts. ELO, the Wild Hearts. I don't know. There has to be something punk in there. Maybe Bad Religion.
Nice.
ELO, the Wild Hearts.
Isn't it?
Do you know what? Maybe I'd switch out Steely Dan for Black Sabbath, because I love Black Sabbath, but I've never listened to any Dio Black Sabbath, so that'd be that's like two bands in one there. So I'd cheat it and have Black Sabbath instead of Steely Dan, maybe.
I think because I like so many different kinds of music, I've picked three. Well, they're all sort of alternative rock bands, aren't they? So I've not really gone in for any. Yeah, there would be a lot. I can't. It's hard to pick three because I'm just cutting off like a ton of stuff that I like listening to by doing that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Don't worry. Be a good
Cool.
desert island. I'll be there.
Get the boombox out. So I think that probably brings us to a close, guys. Unless there's anything else in particular you want to talk about, or anything else you want to ask us.
We're actually pretty boring, really.
I think I've really enjoyed the chat, and I think you guys are doing a great thing. And you've got a really good voice, and you've got a really honest and open-minded understanding of music. And I think that's important in music journalism and for people making music as well. Like it's refreshing, and it's a really cool thing you got going on with the Head Scratcher. So thank you so much for having us. For anyone listening, just be yourself, love yourself, live without shame. It's okay to learn. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to. We're all different.
What you think is the norm. This is it. We're going for it.
Yeah. Be open-minded. Be truly liberal if you can, and in understanding other people's points of view, especially those that you don't agree with.
Stop buying the Daily Mail. Stop buying the Sun.
I wasn't going to get specific, Craig, but yeah, whatever. And just don't be afraid to fall in love and love each other and show that. That's my piece. That's what I'm saying. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks very much, guys. Send our love to the rest of the band as well.
Now we'll meet up. We'll come up. We'll have a Iron Brew and vodka. Not to the not too distant future. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Or Iron Brew with some lovely malt whiskey.
Oh yes.
Like, that's probably sacrilege.
You've got to pick a good whiskey for us.
Who's from?
I don't know anything about whiskey. So.
I'm done. We'll do it. We'll play up in Scotland soon, for sure.
We'll do it. Thank you, guys.
Right, guys. You take care of yourselves.
Cheers. Peace and rock and roll, baby.
Talking to you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Yeah, guys.
It's finished.